Hi everyone, welcome back. Today is July 20th, which is my husband and mine's, I was gonna say 20th wedding anniversary. That's not accurate. It's our 9th wedding anniversary. So I thought I would get ready and just have a little bit of a chat with you guys. We got married in 2010, which makes it very easy to remember what wedding anniversary we're on. Very handy. So what I'm going to be doing today is actually recreating a makeup look that I have been wearing a lot recently. I wore it in I think 1 or 2 videos on my channel already, and it's just a very yellow centric makeup look. I have really fallen in love with yellow lately. The background, my dress. I don't know what it is about this color. I feel like I ignored it for years. I don't think I've ever put together a true yellow eyeshadow look until this past month. And now I'm absolutely obsessed. Starting off with my eye primers, I just put the Fenty Beauty one on, which I'm almost out of, and then I'm following up with the Milani eyeshadow primer. Forgive me if I have said this before, but it's my best known makeup trick as far as I'm concerned. I use 2 eyeshadow primers because one does not work on me. So I layer them together, and now my eyeshadow doesn't crease. For a long time, a single eyeshadow primer was fine on me, and then about 5 years ago, it just stopped working. Didn't matter the brand. So I started layering them up because I had read on Temptalia's website that she layered primers and they worked for her, and lo and behold, it works for me. So if you have super oily eyelids and you don't know what to do about your eyeshadow creasing, try putting 2 eyeshadow primers on instead of just 1. Now, because this is a yellow eyeshadow look, you're probably thinking that I'm going to be using the ColourPop Honey palette. I'm not. I'm actually going to be using my NYX Ultimate Shadow Palette. This is the Brights version, and I'm going to be using these 2 yellow colors up here. I did actually order the Honey palette. I can't say that. I'm feeling absolutely ridiculous. But I don't need that eyeshadow palette in order to create yellow eyeshadow looks because I've got plenty of other shadows. So I'm starting with the paler one, and I'm just going to put that directly through my crease. I initially thought pale yellow colors would look really good on my eye or through my crease because it would look more like a bruise, but it only looks that way if you pair yellow with purple. Then it starts to look like a really mottled bruise. Well, on my eyes anyway. So for our wedding anniversary, we've decided to go to the Keg Mansion in the Gay Village. It's relatively close to where we live, and it's just an easy walk there. It is so hot out in Toronto right now. It is, I think, 33 degrees Celsius. Feels like 40 Fahrenheit, and I'm so sorry if I repeat this all the time, but I hate the heat. I just absolutely despise anything over 21 degrees, really. If I am sweating and uncomfortable, I am just miserable. I went to the gym earlier, and honestly, just walking to the gym, I was sweating. It was horrible. Okay, crease color in place. I'm gonna go in with the darker yellow on it's a fluffy brush, but it's a little bit denser than the one I was using before, and I'm just going to put that directly below the crease color. Last weekend, my friend Julie and I were actually on a road trip, which was a lot of fun. I like road tripping with her. And the plan was to go to a Renaissance fair in upstate New York, which is sort of close to Oswego. I think that's how you say that area, or that city. So we stayed overnight in Oswego. Once we finally got there, the 401 highway was an absolute disaster. There were 2 accidents on it that were so bad that they actually closed the highway, so we had to take like horrible detours in order to get there. And a trip that should have taken us, I think, 3.5 hours took us like 5.5. It was not great. So we got to Oswego, and Oswego is actually on Lake Ontario. It's just on the south side. And it's funny because I'm in Toronto, Ontario. Ontario is a province. And it was weird being in the US and seeing so many things that were like Ontario this or Ontario that just because they were on Lake Ontario. I was like, hey, that's Canadian. But obviously if they're on Lake Ontario, there's going to be a lot of local businesses that utilize that in their name. It was just funny because I always think of Ontario as being Canadian and Canadian only. And then the next day we got up and drove I think it was 15 minutes to go to the Renaissance Fair, which is the Sterling Renaissance Fair. And it is enormous. I could not believe how big that place was. It was wild. It was absolutely massive. It was like an entire village into itself. Unreal. I've never seen a Renaissance Fair or festival anywhere close to that kind of size. Okay, for the outer corner, I'm going to take a little bit of the brown here. This one is another NYX Ultimate palette, but it's the Phoenix one. Yeah, Phoenix. And I'm just doing this because I like something a little bit darker down here, but that color, even though it looks really basic brown, actually has some yellow tones to it, so it does look like a deeper yellow shade. So we stayed at the fair for quite a while, actually. I think maybe 3 or 4 hours. It wasn't a full day thing for us because we were going to continue into Buffalo. But yeah, it was unbelievably massive. There was so much to do there. A lot of it was centered around like buying things. You could buy full Renaissance fair costumes, like corsets and big skirts, and even like chainmail armor, which I tried a corset on, but it did not look that good, so I did not purchase it. But we mostly just walked around a little bit, saw a few shows because they've got a ton of stages set up. We saw, I think it was called Circa Brava, and they were basically gymnasts who did a bunch of hoop, the big circular hoop, I don't even know what it's called, acrobatics basically, and then on the silks as well, so that was pretty cool. I like anything that's like gymnastics or athletic. I made us flower crowns for the Renaissance fair because Julie had come up with the idea of finding flower crowns to wear. I was like, that's a great idea, because we didn't really have full like Renaissance festival costumes, we just had pretty dresses, so the crowns would help complete our outfit quite a bit. But I tell you what, finding flower crowns is not easy. I spent almost a week hunting through the Eaton Center for anything that was remotely decent, but they were all either really tiny, like tiny little strip headbands, or there was a beautiful one at Free People, but it was $100, and I was not going to pay that kind of money for a flower crown. So I got really pissed off, and I went to the dollar store and I found all the supplies to make my own. I made both of us beautiful flower crowns, in my opinion. I think they're stunning, for $20, and I still have so many extra materials that I probably could have made another 4 crowns. I'm just highlighting my brow bone with a Wet n Wild single. This is the Brulee. So after the Renaissance Fair, we drove into Buffalo, which I think was another 2.5 hours-ish from the fair. We stayed overnight there at Hotel Henry, which is a converted hotel that used to be, I think, the Buffalo State Insane Asylum, which was pretty cool, but nothing remotely spooky happened, which I guess we were kind of hoping something would happen. But it's a refurbished hotel, so they've taken, I think, 1/3 of the entire compound and redone the main building so that it can be a hotel and an event space, and there's still like 2/3 left of the entire building that they are planning on renovating. But it's a beautiful place. It is absolutely massive. It was unreal how big this place was. We walked around the whole thing just to get a look at it, and it was beautifully constructed, but it was funny. There were certain areas on the 2nd and 3rd floors where there was like outdoor space for where the patients would have needed to get some fresh air if you were staying at the insane asylum, but they were all caged, so it was like you can get your fresh air, but you're still basically behind bars because they don't want you running away. Really kind of wild to see, actually. Okay, for my lid, I'm going to be taking the Stila Glitter and Glow in the shade Gold Goddess. I'm just going to be putting that all over my lid. And I do really like the brush for these. I find it makes it easy to apply them. So in Buffalo, we mostly just did a lot of Target shopping trips. Target, Trader Joe's, I think a Walmart maybe. Just stocking up on things that we cannot get in Canada. So that was last weekend. And then this coming weekend, we are headed to Green Bay, Wisconsin, a little bit north of Green Bay, to go to my in-laws' cottage for a week. Actually, they call it a cabin over there. My parents have a cottage and I call it a cottage, but the Midwestern people seem to refer to it as a cabin. I don't know what the difference is, but it feels weird to me to call it a cabin and not a cottage, just because I grew up saying cottage. I found out the other day that they have air conditioning in their cabin, and I am so excited. My parents' cottage does not have AC, and it can get swelteringly hot in there, like just absolutely miserable. So I'm excited to go to a cottage that has air conditioning. So the only problem I find if you're using yellow eyeshadow and using a liquid like this is that sometimes the edges of the product, because this is a liquid, will darken the edges of your eyeshadow a little bit. It doesn't always bother me, but sometimes it does. So I just try to add a little bit more to the edges to make it a little bit darker / blend into the eyeshadow. And if that doesn't work enough, I'll probably just go in with some shadow. but I will let that dry first, because if you just go in with a powdered eyeshadow directly on top of a liquid that's still kind of drying, it does something not great to the powder. You end up with this really crusty edge, and I hate that, and I'm hoping to avoid that this time. I don't really want to do a liquid liner, like a winged liner, but I'm going to put a little bit of my Physicians Formula Eye Booster just at the roots of my lashes, because I do want to wear fake lashes, and I'm not skilled enough to put fake lashes on my lash line without having some kind of a buffer for mistake, because if I just go straight in, I'm sure I'm going to screw it up and the eyelash is going to be too high in comparison to my actual lashes. So I'm just gonna line as close as I can get. Okay, we'll come back to the eyes later. I'm going to do foundation first before I go back to them though. So I'm using my Shiseido Synchro Skin Lasting Liquid Foundation. This is in the shade Neutral 2, and I am almost done it. Not that you can tell because I just shook it up, because it's quite liquidy, so you have to shake before you use it. And I am dying to finish this up because I don't think it works that well for me in the summer. I like this way more in the winter time. But it's kind of strange because I thought this color matched me really well in the winter, but it's kind of matching my summer skin, so I don't know what happened there. And I don't want to say what's left of the bottle because it's really like 5 to 10% left of the bottle for the winter. I'd rather just finish it up because I bought too many foundations in England when I was there, and I need to start using those. So recently, beauty launches have been absolutely boring me. There hasn't been much out on the market that I've enjoyed, which is kind of depressing and also kind of good at the same time. I'm kind of hitting that point, and I think every kind of beauty YouTuber, beauty blogger hits this point at some point in their career, but it's just like, there's too much out there. I don't want to be spending so much money on makeup all the time unless a launch is really good, because I no longer feel like I need to bulk up my collection anymore. I only really want palettes or products if they're really exciting to me, and I just feel like lately, nothing is interesting. The only thing that has been interesting to me is ColourPop. They've just been like knocking out some bangers recently, and I'm like, yeah, I like everything you're putting out, but every other band or brand is boring the crap out of me. On one hand, it's saving me money, but on the other hand, it's not exciting. The only thing that was exciting though, and this just happened, is that Too Faced put out their gingerbread spice palette again. It was a limited holiday launch that came out for September last year, and I think it was gone within, was it gone within a month? Like before Christmas had ever hit. And people were sad because they didn't get their hands on it. So they brought it back out for Christmas in July this year, and I'm glad that they did because that palette is so good. It's one of my favorites in my entire collection. And I had initially thought I wanted a backup, but now I'm finding it hard to part with my money in order to buy the backup. So I think I just don't want to spend more money on makeup right now, so I'm holding back on buying it, even though I had said that I really wanted a backup of it because I'm scared to travel with it. Like, it's one of my favorite palettes. I want to bring it with me on vacation, but I'm so scared of it breaking in travel, which is also ridiculous because I have never had a palette actually break in transit, so I should really just suck it up and start bringing it with me on vacation. Okay, for my bronzer today, I'm going to be using one that's relatively new to me. This is the Maybelline City Bronzer, and I'm using the shade 200. I have the shade 100 as well, but I think 200 suits me a little bit better with my summer color. 200 does have a little bit more warmth to it than 100 does though. 100 seems very neutral in comparison to this one. But since I am wearing a lot of yellow, I think the warmth will work in this bronzer. Also, I feel like 100 is too pale for me right now. So has anybody been watching the Veronica Mars Hulu revival? I'm so excited. It came out a week early, which surprised the crap out of me because it wasn't supposed to be out until this coming Friday. And they launched it, I guess, probably because Comic-Con is happening right now, and they're like, surprise, go watch it now. But I had people over on Friday when it launched, and I was like, no, I didn't plan it this way. Like, I had next Friday all to myself. I was gonna bust through the entire series, and then they launched it early on Friday, and I'm like, I feel like I should ask everybody to leave right now because I only want to watch Veronica Mars. But I started watching it after people left and then picked it back up this morning. It's kind of weird because I want to like bust through the whole thing because I love the show so much, but I also want to savor it, so I don't want to just bust through it and then not have anything new to watch. So I'm currently only just finished episode 3 and there's 5 more to go, but I'm so happy that the show is back, and I really hope that we don't just get this one season, that there's more coming for us eventually. For blush, I'm using one by Tarte. This is called Sensual, and it's just a really easy peach color, basically. It's quite matte. By the time you're seeing this video, though, I will definitely have already watched the whole season, so you can tell me anything you thought about the series. I won't be spoiled down below. Let me know if you're interested in Veronica Mars, because I started watching it. Man, I don't even really remember when the show came out. I feel like it was 2004, something like that. And I got into it, I think, a season late, but I became deeply invested in this show after that. And I contributed to the Kickstarter so that they got their movie. That was 5 years ago now. And now there's a new series, and I'm just so overjoyed because it's not like this ever really happens. A TV series that started like, what, 15 years ago now, had a revival movie and now has a 4th season on Hulu. Like, what are the chances of that? For highlighter, I'm going to be dipping into my Sweets Glow Kit by ABH. This is old, you can't get it anymore, but I do think that some of these shades are currently available in other palettes. I want to go for Marshmallow because I think it's my most yellow toned highlighter without being overtly gold. Yep, that works. I love this highlighting palette. I just don't know why she made it limited edition. I feel like when this came out, there were so many glow kits that were limited edition. It's really irritating because they're some of the best ones she's ever put out. Ugh, I need to put the back of my hair up because I am absolutely sweating in here. Oh, there we go. Oh, every time I get to my brows, I get so annoyed. So I'm starting off with the IT Cosmetics Brow Power. They only have one shade, Universal Taupe, and it works for me. And I just use that to basically fake a brow tail because I don't have one. There is nothing there. Once I get that bottom line on, I then go in with a lighter brow pencil just because I don't really like too dark of a brow. And this one is the Benefit Precisely My Brow Pencil, and the shade is 2. And just fill in the top and pray that I get a shape that works for me that day. Okay, I'm going to finish up with the eyes then, and I think I'm going to try to deepen up that outer corner just a little bit. So going back in with my Phoenix palette. Same color again. Just going to tap that in the outer corner. Oh, good. It's not clinging to the liquid shadow, which was my biggest concern. For my lower lash line, I'm just going to take the darker yellow from the Brights palette and just layer that all along here. Yellow's kind of nice because I feel like you can be sloppy with it. Because it's not so, I mean, like, it's not a blue so it stands out that much in comparison to my skin. The yellow seems to sink in a little bit, which is nice. And I always do this with the Kleenex to catch the fallout because I don't feel like putting chunks of powder actually works. I've tried it before and I had black flecks in the powder, and I tried to sweep it away and it just streaked. Like, it was just bad news bears. So I put a Kleenex down now and it catches anything that should drop on my lower eye hollows. I never know what to call that area of my face. Plus I don't wear concealer, so I'm not really worried about disrupting anything there. And then for the very edge, I'm going to take the brighter yellow and then just layer that beside it. That's basically how I do a blown out eye. I do this with pretty much every color. You just use like a really pale color at the edge of the eye look, and then you use a slightly deeper version of that color on the inside, and then I just blow it out. You do have to get used to putting down your shadow quite low. I didn't ever used to put shadow down here. I only stuck up to my lower lash line. It took a while to get used to that. I mean, that's like anything in makeup though. Like, even just learning to wear a red lipstick, it's just about getting used to seeing yourself looking that way. And that can take a while. I was super uncomfortable when I first started wearing lipstick just because I thought it was so obvious. And I mean, it is, it's lipstick. But it was mostly just about my comfort level and getting used to the fact that I was wearing lipstick. All right, time to finish up these eyes. For mascara, I'm using my CoverGirl Clump Crusher. I buy the water resistant one. I don't think I've ever actually tried the normal one. I just heard the water resistant one was good, so I stuck with that. It's not actually waterproof, so it's not hard to remove with any kind of normal makeup remover. But I do feel like this stays put on my lashes. Like, I don't find I get little black bits of mascara underneath my eyes, which is great because I can't stand that. For my lower waterline, I'm going to be using a yellow liner, and this is the NYX Off Tropic Pro Liner in the shade Pineapple Punch. I will point out that these are not necessarily eye safe. These are marketed as an eye pencil, but they are definitely listed as a lip pencil on NYX's website, so use with caution. I've never had any personal problems though. These were limited edition though, and I think they're impossible to find in the US now. There's a lot of Canadian stores that still have them though, namely Shoppers Drug Mart. So if you're looking for any of those colorful liners from NYX, try Shoppers Drug Mart if you're Canadian. For lashes, I'm going to be wearing one of my absolute favorites. I just repurchased them, so I'm so happy to be breaking into them now. They're by Tarte, and they are the Flirt lashes. All right, lashes on. I'm just going to take my liquid liner again and then go right over the band just to cover up any glue that might still have a bit of a white cast to it. I mean, the glue is supposed to be translucent, but let's get real here. Sometimes you can still see it after the fact, so you can always draw over top of it with your liquid liner. For lips, I'm going to use something pretty easy because, again, we're going for dinner and I don't like eating with lipstick on, so I usually end up wiping my lipstick off before we start eating. So I'm just going to wear something that's kind of skin tone for me. This is the Kaylin Art Touch Tinted Lip Gloss, and the shade is called 09 Basic Instinct. I got this in an Ipsy bag a very long time ago, but the color is nice because it's kind of peachy, and honestly, it's just one of those really easy neutral colors to wear. Okay, so that's it. Let's get this hair down. Although it's so hot outside that I might want to be wearing it up. Okay, there we go. That is the finished eye look. I am really into yellow eyeshadow lately. I don't know why, I've never really tried it before, but I'm here now, and those two NYX palettes really work for this look. And of course I like glitter, so popping that on the lid is just a lot of fun as well. So that's gonna be it for this video. Thank you so much for joining me today as I got ready for my 9th wedding anniversary dinner, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.